Hey everybody, in this video I'd like to talk about why the new imperialism was so successful. The roots of the technological superiority of Europeans during the new imperialism go back to the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution had begun in England in the 1750s and for more than a century had been spreading to the United States and across the rest of Europe. But just as significantly, it had not spread anywhere else. The Industrial Revolution changed everything, as the gap in knowledge and technology allowed Europeans to dominate. One area in which Europeans had superior knowledge was medicine. In 1859, the first successful use of anesthesia allowed surgery patients to undergo the ordeal without actually feeling the pain. However, it must be noted that the first drug used for this purpose, at the recommendation of Sigmund Freud, was cocaine, which of course led to other problems. Later, ether and chloroform were used as anesthesia. In 1861, Louis Pasteur's germ theory of disease proved that diseases are spread not by bad air, generally generated within a person, but by microscopic organisms that can be killed off, for instance, by thoroughly boiling or cooking one's food before consuming it. In 1867, Joseph Lister, think Listerine mouthwash, demonstrated that antiseptics could kill microscopic organisms as discovered by Pasteur. For example, sterilizing surgical instruments with carbolic acid before cutting into a person nearly eliminated post-surgical infections. On a side note, American doctors haughtily refused to believe in Lister's ideas, which led to thousands of unnecessary deaths, including that of President James Garfield. Having learned from the Inca and Maya about the malaria-fighting properties of quinine, Europeans imported seeds and grew massive amounts of it. Before quinine, Africa had been known as, quote, the white man's grave, because so many Europeans arrived in Africa, contracted malaria, and quickly died. Now Europeans in Africa had fewer medical problems than the natives themselves. The Industrial Revolution affected all of this because European factories could produce endless supplies of cheap, stable, perfectly dosed anesthesia, antiseptics, and quinine. Another area in which the Industrial Revolution gave European superiority over the rest of the world was in transportation and communication technology. The awesome capacity of European steel mills and manufacturing plants allowed Europeans to be producing battleships and steamships such as the Titanic and sailing all over the world, while the rest of the world still used sailing ships like China or even were limited to canoes. Once arriving in these exotic places, Europeans could record what happened there using the technology of photography. And though far from home, these Europeans could still easily communicate with home thanks to the telegraph. In fact, an average Englishman in South Africa could communicate with London faster than a Zulu king could communicate with the next village over. The most important technological advantage European imperialists enjoyed was in weaponry. While non-European societies were still using bows and arrows, spears, and shields made of wood and animal skin, Europeans not only had guns, but their firearm technology was improving. Until the mid-1800s, Europeans generally used muskets, which fired a round ball out of a smooth barrel. The ball literally bounced down the barrel and exited differently every time, limiting its accuracy. It also took 20 or 30 seconds to load and fire a single shot. It was louder and scarier than a bow and arrow or a spear, but certainly not invincible. In 1841, the breech-loading rifle was invented. The barrel of the gun was on a hinge, so it could be loaded from the rear without a ramrod, and this saved time and increased the rate of fire. Rifling of gun barrels was invented centuries earlier, but became common in the mid-1800s. It made the ball spin upon exiting, and just like throwing a football in a nice tight spiral, this added both range and accuracy. This was complemented by the mini ball, which was invented in 1847. It was not a ball at all, but it was a conical grooved bullet that, combined with a rifle barrel, added stability, accuracy, and range to a gun. The most important innovation of the era came with the American-British inventor Hiram Maxim's perfecting of the Maxim gun. The Maxim gun, the first really usable machine gun, allowed a single user to fire 500 rounds per minute, and in a traditional style battle made him nearly invincible. This is best shown in what is perhaps the most lopsided battle in human history, the Battle of Omdurman. 8,000 British, assisted by 17,000 Egyptian allies, faced off against 52,000 Sudanese Muslims. The Sudanese had guns, but they were older-style muskets. The British had breech-loading rifles, mini-balls, and Maxim guns. And when the smoke cleared, the Sudanese suffered 12,000 killed, 15,000 wounded, and 3,000 captured, while the British lost less than 50. The Industrial Revolution had given Europeans an advantage over others, and not just an advantage, but the ability to easily, utterly dominate them. This is best seen in a famous couplet by the British-French poet Hilaire Belloc in 1898. Whatever happens, we have got the Maxim gun, and they have not. Thanks for watching.